Lee Seung-jae, the eternal pillar who held up an entire era, 1934 to 2025. A long-form tribute. Some actors chase fame, some chase applause. But Lee Seung-jae spent more than 60 years chasing only one thing: truth in performance. For Korea, he wasn't just an actor. He was the elder who taught a nation how to feel. He belonged to an era where acting was not glamorous, TV was still young, theater was modest, and the entertainment world had not yet discovered the shine of celebrity culture. But in that quiet, uncertain beginning, Lee Seung-jae stepped on stage with a conviction that would carry him through nearly 7 decades of storytelling. He wasn't famous because he tried to be. He was famous because he didn't need to be. A life lived between roles. Lee Seung-jae didn't simply act. He embodied the very spirit of Korean storytelling. He performed in historical dramas that captured a nation's roots, family dramas that shaped the childhoods of multiple generations, comedies that softened the edges of everyday life, stage plays that proved his artistry long before film existed as it does today. His characters were fathers, kings, professors, beggars, villains, patriots, and fools. He was everyone, yet always uniquely himself. Every wrinkle on his face held a memory. Every pause held intention. Every word carried the weight of a man who had lived long enough to understand the fragility and beauty of the human condition. Modern actors often speak of method, but Lee Seung-jae practiced something pure. He gave himself completely to the moment, and audiences, millions of them, felt it. The mentor of a nation. For younger actors, he wasn't just a senior. He was the blueprint. Those who trained under him didn't simply learn how to act. They learned how to carry themselves, how to respect the craft, how to stay humble even when fame came knocking. He famously said, "An actor's job is not to shine, it is to illuminate the story." That was his philosophy and his gift. He treated acting as a responsibility, not a profession. He treated every script like a promise. He treated every set like sacred ground. The final curtain. In the last years of his life, Lee Seung-jae continued filming, teaching, performing, as if time itself could not slow him. Even as age stole his strength, it could not touch his passion. Even as his body grew frail, his presence remained immense. And then on November 25, 2025, the lights dimmed. His passing did not just break news, it broke silence. Across Korea, in studios, theaters, schools, living rooms, people paused. Some cried, some whispered prayers, some sat quietly with memories of shows their parents watched and their parents before them. Korea didn't just lose an actor, it lost the bridge that connected generations, a grandfather, a teacher, a pillar, a legend, a legacy that will not fade. Legends don't disappear, they echo. Lee Seung-jae will echo in every actor who grew up watching him, every scene where a father figure speaks gently, every drama that dares to carry emotional truth, every theater student who studies his poise, every viewer who once found comfort in his presence. Cinema has lost a giant, but giants cast long shadows, shadows that protect, that guide, that remind us of what came before. And as long as Korean storytelling exists, Lee Seung-jae will remain in its bones. The final bow, he once said that acting is a dialogue with the audience. Today that dialogue ends, but the conversation he began continues forever. Thank you, Lee Seung-jae, for the wisdom, for the warmth, for the decades you carried us through laughter, tears, and life itself. Your stage is dark now, but your light, your gentle, steady, eternal light will never go out. Kim Joo-hyuk, the gentleman of Korean cinema, 1972 to 2017. Kim Joo-hyuk was more than an actor. He was a presence. Calm, dignified, quietly magnetic. The kind of man who didn't dominate a room with volume, but with sincerity. He earned the public's love through unforgettable performances in films like You Are My Sunshine, My Wife Got Married, The Truth Beneath, and Confidential Assignment, where his depth and honesty shone through every moment. He had a rare gift, no matter the role, gentle lover, conflicted husband, or layered antagonist, he made audiences feel the truth behind the character. But it was on 2 days and 1 night that people truly saw the man behind the actor. There he was, Gu Tae-hyun. Humble, soft-spoken, a little awkward, endlessly endearing. He treated staff with the same warmth he gave his closest friends, and colleagues often described him as one of the kindest people they had ever worked with. Then in 2017, tragedy struck. A sudden car accident. A life cut short. A silence that swept across Korea. People mourned not with gossip, but with gratitude. Stories poured in about his generosity, his professionalism, his gentle nature. He left behind a career still rising, a future still unwritten, and a gap that could never be filled. Kim Joo-hyuk may be gone, but he remains one of the few actors remembered as much for his humanity as for his craft. A gentleman, on and off screen. A quiet soul whose legacy continues to warm the hearts he once touched. Park Yong-ha, the star who carried too much light, 1977-2010. Park Yong-ha was one of those rare actors who felt both familiar and irreplaceable. Warm, gentle, and quietly charismatic. He didn't chase fame, fame followed him. And when Winter Sonata swept across Asia, his name became a symbol of the early Hallyu wave. Women adored him. Men respected him. He had the face of a leading man and the heart of an artist. Behind the scenes, colleagues described him as thoughtful, polite, and deeply considerate. Someone who remembered every name on set, every birthday, every small detail. He shined not only because of talent, but because of kindness. But what audiences loved most about him was his softness. The way he could make a romantic scene feel sincere. The way his eyes carried emotions without a single word spoken. He was the type of actor who made people believe in love stories again. Yet behind that warmth was a man carrying battles no one truly saw. Pressure, exhaustion, silent pain, the kind that grows heavier the longer it's hidden. Despite his success, he struggled alone, quietly, not wanting to burden anyone with the weight he carried. In 2010, the news of his passing sent shockwaves through Korea and across Asia. It felt unreal. How could someone so gentle leave so suddenly, so silently? Fans mourned not just the actor they admired, but the person they wished they could have protected. His colleagues wept for a friend who had loved so deeply, yet often forgot to love himself. Park Yong-ha's story is heartbreaking, not because he fell, but because he stood strong for so long. Today, he is remembered as a pioneer of the Hallyu wave, a man who helped carry Korean dramas into the world, and an artist whose sincerity still lingers in the hearts of those who watched him. Some stars burn out, but Park Yong-ha's light remains, soft, bittersweet, and everlasting. Jong Da-bin, the cheerful star with a hidden pain, 1980-2007. Jong Da-bin was loved for her bright, energetic presence, the kind of actress who could light up a screen with a single smile. With roles in Attic Cat, He Was Cool, and various sitcoms, she became the face of youthful charm during the early 2000s. But behind that cheerful image was a young woman quietly struggling with emotional exhaustion and pressure from a fast-paced industry. Few knew how heavy her burden was, and fewer still understood the loneliness she faced in silence. In 2007, at just 26 years old, she passed away, leaving fans and colleagues devastated. Her death reminded the industry how deeply unseen pain can hide behind a bright smile. Though her time was brief, Jong Da-bin remains remembered as a warm, lovable presence, a star whose light was soft, sincere, and tragically short-lived. Song Hye Kyo, a resilient actress tested by life's cruelty, 1974-2017. Song Hye Kyo was known for her elegant, expressive acting, a performer who brought intelligence and grace to every role, whether in dramas, films, or theater. Audiences admired her calm strength, while colleagues respected her professionalism and dedication. But her life behind the camera was marked by heartbreaking tragedy. In 2017, her husband was murdered, a crime that shocked the nation. Song Hye Kyo faced the loss with quiet resilience, continuing to work while protecting her young daughter, a testament to her courage. Yet the emotional weight of grief and hardship remained heavy. In 2023, she passed away, leaving an industry mourning not just a talented actress, but a woman who endured more than most could bear. Song Hye Kyo's legacy is one of grace in the face of suffering, a reminder that behind even the strongest performances there are human hearts, sometimes fragile, sometimes wounded, always deserving of compassion. Kim Young-ae, the mother of Korean drama, 1951-2017. Kim Young-ae was one of the most respected actresses in Korean entertainment, a woman whose presence alone could elevate an entire production. Whether playing a strict mother, a grieving wife, or a powerful businesswoman, she delivered every line with a truth that pierced straight to the heart. Her performances in Moon Embracing the Sun, Mother, Whisper, and dozens of films made her the quintessential K-drama mother. Strong, emotional, and unforgettable. She had the ability to command a scene without raising her voice, conveying years of unspoken pain or love with a single look. Even as she quietly battled pancreatic cancer, she continued to act, refusing special treatment, showing up on set with professionalism that astonished her colleagues. She chose her craft until her final days, a true testament to devotion. In 2017, she passed away, leaving a void that no one could replace. Kim Young-ae is remembered not just as an actress, but as a pillar of Korean storytelling, a woman whose strength, artistry, and dignity shaped the golden era of K-drama. Jeon Mi-sun, the quiet strength behind Korea's most beautiful stories, 1970 to 2019. Jeon Mi-sun was not always the star at the center of the frame, but she was the heartbeat that made the story feel real. For more than 3 decades, she played mothers, wives, teachers, and women whose names often went unspoken, but whose emotions shaped the soul of every drama and film she appeared in. She was the kind of actress who elevated a project simply by being in it. Her performances in The Moon Embracing the Sun, Hide and Seek, Mother, and Memories of Murder were not loud or showy. They were precise, deeply human, and unforgettable. Directors loved her because she understood nuance. Actors respected her because she brought truth into every scene. Audiences cherished her because she portrayed ordinary women with extraordinary empathy. Jeon Mi-sun had the rare ability to express pain without breaking, love without speaking, and strength without raising her voice. In her presence, a simple look could say what dialogue never could. But behind her calm and composed exterior, she carried burdens that she rarely showed to the world. Pressures from the industry, personal struggles, emotional fatigue, the invisible weight that so many quietly endure. In 2019, when news of her passing spread, the industry fell silent. Not because her name was surrounded by scandal, but because Korea lost one of its gentlest souls, one of its most reliable storytellers, one of its quiet pillars. Colleagues cried for the woman who always cared for those around her. Fans mourned the actress who made them feel seen. Writers and directors wept for the void no one else could fill. Jeon Mi-sun is remembered not for fame, but for sincerity. Not for leading roles, but for the humanity she poured into every character. She showed the world that supporting roles are not small. They are the foundation of great storytelling. And she, Jeon Mi-sun, was one of the greatest foundations Korean cinema ever had. Kim Mi-soo, a rising talent whose story ended too soon, 1992 to 2022. Kim Mi-soo was the kind of actress who didn't just appear on screen. She blended into it naturally, effortlessly, as if the camera had always been meant to find her. She was still early in her career, yet every role she played carried a quiet emotional weight beyond her years. Viewers noticed her in Hi Bye Mama, admired her in The School Nurse Files, and felt drawn to her grounded warmth in Yumi's Cells. She didn't need to shout to be unforgettable. Her subtlety was her signature. But it was her role in Snowdrop that marked the true beginning of what could have been a remarkable future. There was something undeniably raw in her performance, something that promised depth, versatility, and a long career filled with unforgettable characters. She was a young actress just beginning to open the first pages of her story. And then, suddenly, her journey ended. In early 2022, at just 29 years old, Kim Mi-soo passed away, quietly, unexpectedly, leaving behind a silence so heavy that fans and colleagues struggled to understand it. A life barely begun, a talent barely discovered, a future bright enough to blind, extinguished before the world had the chance to fully see it. Her castmates spoke of her kindness, her laughter, her dedication during late-night shoots. Directors remembered her as a natural, someone who instinctively understood characters without needing to force emotion. Friends described her as warm, steady, someone who lifted others without even realizing it. Kim Mi-soo's passing is one of the most heartbreaking reminders that brilliance does not always get the time it deserves. She didn't have decades of roles behind her, but she left an imprint deep enough to be remembered for decades to come. In every frame she left behind, there is a quiet sincerity. In every role, a glimpse of the extraordinary actress she was becoming. Her story ended abruptly, but the echo of her talent remains. Lee Byung Hun, the brilliant flame gone too early, 1980 to 2005. Lee Byung-hun was one of those rare actresses whose performances felt almost fragile, raw, vulnerable, and impossibly real. In films like Taeguki, The Scarlet Letter, and Bungee Jumping of Their Own, she carried emotions with an honesty that left audiences breathless. She was young, talented, and rising quickly, but behind the gentle smile was a woman burdened by pressures far heavier than anyone realized. The demands of fame, the emotional toll of intense roles, and a sensitive spirit created a battle she fought mostly alone. In 2005, at just 24 years old, she passed away, leaving the industry stunned and heartbroken. Her death was a reminder of how fragile bright stars can be. Though her career was short, Lee Byung-hun's legacy is undeniable. Her performances remain some of the most emotionally powerful in Korean cinema. A brief life, a brief career, but a brilliance that will never be forgotten.